Hey, welcome back to Tactics Talk with Guido. Got a replay here for you from Mad Dog. He's in his 103 Tier 9 American Heavy Tank, and he's in a 510 battle. Bottom tier, but he's only one tier down. He's loaded into Airfield, and they have spawned over on the west side. Mad Dog sends me a lot of videos, which is fantastic because he's a very good player. What I like to do, though, is dig through them and find the ones that show something very specific, because there's a lot of things that he does very well, which we can show you. One of those things that he does is he fights in the forward positions very well. His brawling skills are excellent. He's very careful while still being aggressive, which makes him a little bit better than even I am up at these forward spots, because I tend to get a little over aggressive and pay for it. Mad Dog rarely pays for mistakes that he makes unless he means to make them. So let's watch how he does this, because Airfield's actually a great place to show some corner fighting skills and some SA within a small flank, and how you work around it, how you sort out what the problem is, and how you make it a win, essentially, out of this. Now, this is not going to be a 6,000, 7,000 damage game, but it is a pretty decent damage game. But we're going to take a look at it at the end, exactly what happened, how much damage he did, how much he assisted, and how much he blocked, and see how that affected the game. So let's go ahead and get going. You can see he has moved over here to the heavy brawling area. Give you his view, and right away he does something that's very smart. He's going to cut over to the left here so that that rock is blocking any of the red team who's either coming around that corner or who's sitting on that little hill there looking down towards where he comes up and over this ridge, or even somebody who's traveling up it, just like that T-54 was, who just might get a chance light on him. And this lets him get up here without being seen, but something interesting happens here. You may have seen the T-54 lit. He'd been lit for a while, and Mad Dog actually takes a hit here. So the first trade Mad Dog has is not a great one, and that T-54 has taken a very aggressive forward position, but he's going to react and go ahead and tuck up in here. Now, he does have to deal with two artillery. There's a tier 9 and tier 10, and this spot is a bit exposed to artillery, and I think he got lit a lot earlier than he really wanted to. So he's just trying to sort out exactly what's going on. He has a considerable amount of mediums down on the ridge to his south, and a couple heavies up with him, to include the tier 10 Panzer 7, which is a good heavy. The E-50 runs in, he pops out, fires, and gets right back. The 103, which Mad Dog's pretty good at, has this crazy kind of curved front lower plate and upper plate. You can see how it's actually curved. Not only is it sloped, but it's got a curve on it. And when you come at it at an angle like this, when you're doing your poking, sticking your front out, it can be very trollish if they're not hitting it in the right spot. Now, it's got a huge track and fender area, which is pretty easily hit. So you do have to watch sticking that out. But if they're firing heat, a lot of times that can eat it, or if you just pull back just enough like Mad Dog does, you might just get tracked or block. So watch how he kind of baits shots as we go through this. T-54 comes up, feels like he can't come all the way around because there's people behind Mad Dog. And now we've got a bit of a push by the enemy, and just watch as he kind of baits, and now he's going to start working with his Panzer 7. It's a bit of a bummer that the Panzer 7 comes around and gets in front of him, but at the same time it's not bad because the guy's using his armor correctly, and after he fires he gets right out of the way. And it turns out that Mad Dog and this Panzer 7 are actually able to work with each other pretty well right here. Mad Dog just accepts it for what it is and goes around them. He knows they're probably going to shoot the guy in the face or try to come around with that shot in the fender. Unfortunately, that doesn't go through. Notice he's firing AP right now. He doesn't really need the heat against the T-10. Another thing he does a bit better than me is manages shot selection as far as shell selection, not shot selection. And that also allows him to go through the tracks and try to get up under fenders and things like that without the heat eating, or without the tracks eating the heat. So that was nicely done right there between him and the Panzer 7. They've just pretty much swept up this lower edge. Coming around this corner is dangerous if there's TDs sitting back here, and sometimes even up here they can get a few shots on you. But they didn't. Neither one of them took any aggro from a TD, so more than likely there's nothing. Oh, wait a minute, there is something. There's a 212. That's good information. 5041 shows up, gets a shot, fixes his track because he knows he needs to get moving. He'd rather not sit there and let that guy aim in on a weak spot, so he can just come around and pop that guy. And here we are in a tier 10 and 9 battle, and he hasn't touched the 2 key yet, and he's been very effective. No real reason to push across the open area right there with an FV TD sitting back up there. That is a very good decision. He's going to come around this other way. Probably really no reason to push up in the open on that ramp in front. Might as well go around behind, get protected, figure out what's going on here. Oh, we got a 50 here. That's what we got going on here. So we need to take care of this guy. Oh, he's not shooting us in the sides. We try to come up the ramp. Panzer 7 is still sitting there, keeping them honest on the other side. Shoots him right in the track. Unfortunately, there you go. He's got a repair kit, so it gets moving. And down goes the 50M. You'll notice that as far as brawling skills, baiting shots, being careful about when to poke, he's always looking for those track shots, trying to shoot in under fenders. Pretty universally weak spots on tanks. Alright, that's a really interesting thing he did right there. He was accepting that he was stunned as he moved up and didn't have any shots, but as soon as he had a shot on that artillery, hallelujah, he went ahead and burned the repair, or not the repair, but the med kit, which then brought his reload and his aiming back online so he could get a better shot on that guy. Don't burn it unless you have to, but if you need to, do it. This is great right here. He gets a little auto aim action on this guy, and he just shoots where he was, and down he goes. Fantastic. That's God's work. Another artillery down. That guy's gone, that guy's gone, and now Mad Dog is moving forward. So while Mad Dog moves forward, let's take a look at the numbers because he doesn't get any more damage in here. He has done 2,678. He's blocked 2,390. So that's potential damage the enemy team could have done to him, which would be more than his hit points. So he'd be dead had any large number of those anyway gone through and hit him, had he not been baiting shots, had he not been using his armor correctly. And he assisted for 1,367, most of that which is tracking damage. So tracking the enemy and letting his friends take easier shots on them through weak points and whatnot. Just a great example in there of getting up to the critical spot in a heavy on the airfield map and working it near perfectly. I mean, he took some damage in there, but you're going to do that in a game more than likely. Baiting the shots, moving to the right position, fighting the enemy where they were, and basically beating every single tank that came up in front of him. So nice job, Mad Dog. Appreciate that replay sent in because it does illustrate very well all those points that I just made. Hope you guys like what you saw. Hey, I do appreciate your support of the channel in whatever form it comes in. Please keep doing that. And as always, we will see you.